the podcast to fill my brain. Movies and Task, Reddit, Minute of Sports, betting $1 and Joel the Game, Quora and questions from real listeners, all that and more on Joel the Podcast. Bzzz. Hello everybody, I'm Alex.
And I'm Alex.
And this is our podcast,
Joel.
Welcome to episode 127 of Joel the Podcast, everybody. We're very excited to be here. Obviously, it's only been 1 week since our last episode.
Yep.
So nothing new about that, but yeah, very, very exciting. I wanted to start off by letting everyone know that Nathan doesn't owe me $1. I don't even remember.
I don't think that anyone... No, you know what? Didn't we bet on the Super Bowl?
We did bet on the Super Bowl. I'm sure that I bet on the Eagles, right?
You must have. So
that means Nathan does owe me $1.
Darn.
Wonderful.
Wow.
All right, so Nathan owes me $1. Moving on, I guess this is the Sports Minute next.
Sure.
I know it's only been a week since we've done one of these, but I feel like it's been longer. Just feels longer.
We've really lost our flow to these intros in the past week.
Yeah. Can you pull up the 1 minute timer? Because I'm recording on my phone.
I'm also recording on my phone now. So rip Skype. First of all, we had to
pour one out.
Yeah. And yeah, so now I'm also on my phone. How are we gonna record a minute? Maybe I'll just... Surely there's a website. 1 minute.
No, I mean your computer. Your computer has a timer on it.
Oh, it's going. Go. Start.
Oh, hi. Welcome to the Sports Minute. Well, the Eagles won the Super Bowl. That was exciting. They crushed the Chiefs. As an Eagles fan, I was very excited. Yeah, NBA is going on. No one cares about that.
March Madness
finals
happened.
are coming up soon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, March Madness happened.
That was pretty good. Congratulations to Florida, I guess, for winning.
How was your bracket?
Yeah, NBA, huh?
How was your bracket?
I was super busy the week of the selection show, so I didn't make a bracket this year. And I've actually been waiting for this moment where somebody talked to me about this. I am going to make up for that by next year making 1 billion brackets in hopes of getting the perfect bracket. And that's the end of the Sports Minute. A little bit unorthodox. But there you have it. That's all we have time for today.
So, can I ask you about that, or is that now that the Sports Minute is over, we're done?
Yeah, no. This isn't really sports anymore. This is more like a programming project that I've had in mind.
Yeah. I guess my question is, what is the draw of creating 1 billion brackets to see if you can create a perfect one?
So the odds...
If you just did, and it would just be random, you'd be like, yeah. Oh, one of my billion brackets was randomly right. Yeah. I don't know, what's the... Tell me about that.
So even though it would just be random coincidence, I still think that would be kind of cool to have, generated something that was then a perfect prediction. I mean, obviously it's not meaningful because I generated 1 billion of them. But for the correct answer to be in that set, I think is still kind of interesting to me. Probably because the odds are still pretty good that it won't be. I forget what the exact number is, but it's I don't know if it's tens or hundreds of billions of possible brackets. It's 2 to the 63 or whatever, right? What is that number?
Yes. 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 9 times 10 to the 18.
Okay, so even if I generate
so 1 billion brackets isn't even going to come
brackets,
close to cutting it.
That's a
you have almost no
minuscule chance.
Yeah,
yeah. Okay. Well, I still think it's an
what's
interesting
project. You would it is kind of interesting now that we're talking about it, because like if the results of the tournament were truly random, you would have no chance.
Right.
But they're not. Like, if you generated like the 1 billion most likely outcomes,
right.
Wonder what your chances would be.
Right.
Like, probably, I would guess, fairly high, actually.
Yeah, because, I mean, you can divide this number immediately by, like, multiple powers of 2, right? Just by picking all of the 1 seeds and the 2 seeds, which is almost certainly going to happen.
Right.
So, I mean, looking at this year, wasn't it like all of the 1, 2, 3s, and 4s in the Sweet 16 except for like 1? Which, I mean, is pretty unusual, but I guess that kind of goes to show that you're weighted toward more likely outcomes. So, yeah, I do plan to do a little bit of that kind of like weighting and kind of make it a little bit intelligent at least, but it feels fairest to me to do all of this generation between when the bracket is released and the first games, like when the brackets are due. Even though like I'm going to be doing all of the calculations based strictly on seed, right? Because there's no way computationally there's enough information or enough speed, I guess, enough processing to be able to make more intelligent decisions than that if you're trying to do 1 billion of something quickly. So I could have easily done it before I get it. It felt like an interesting problem to me, and I started to work on it a little bit during the tournament. And so
I now think that even if you generated... I now think you probably, even if you generated the 1 billion most likely probabilities, would still not have a good shot.
Yeah. Whatever I was looking at, I remember choosing 1 billion because at first I was like, I'll generate 1 million. And then I started looking into the statistics and it was like, there's no chance. But when you get to 1 billion, I forget what it was, and I might have to do this research again to have a better answer. But it felt to me... Obviously, looking at this raw number, that you've still got 0 shot, but it felt to me like 1 billion was kind of around a tipping point where it went from like, this is statistically impossible to, you would still be lucky if it happened, but there's like more than a few % chance or something that an intelligently picked bracket out of your billion could be the correct answer.
Yeah, so I just looked it up, and it says that 24 million unique brackets were filled out for, although I don't know if that, I believe that. I don't know how many of them were, like, duplicates of each other, but
yeah,
24. This says 24.4 million unique brackets were filled out, and no one had any, no one came close to a perfect bracket.
Yeah, and I'm proposing by myself to generate 40 times that amount.
Yes.
Which... I don't know. People get kind of close, so maybe.
Maybe. All right. Well, we'll see. I'll be interested. This ended up being a lot more interesting of a problem than I initially thought, because I went from thinking, oh, well, of course you'll get a perfect bracket. That's not that interesting. To, of course you won't get a perfect bracket. That's not that interesting. To, maybe you can get a perfect bracket. So now I don't really know. So.
Yeah, you've speed run through the thought process that I had as I was thinking about this idea and kind of coming up with this number. It's been a little while since I looked at that, so I'm having a hard time justifying it exactly right now, but it's out there. And
anyway, well, that'll come to fruition in 10 months, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll make a $1 bet on it once we're pretty sure that I can actually accomplish that.
Of course.
Maybe we can first make a $1 bet. Will I actually do that?
Okay, I'm willing to do that. I bet you will not do it.
All right. There we go. $1 says that I will generate 1 billion brackets next year for March Madness.
All right, it's a bet. Anyway, we did the dollar, we did the sports minute. Let's go to the email.
Yeah, let's do it.
Do you have that open?
Totally have it open right now.
Yeah, we're well prepared for this podcast, so I know Nathan already had it open, and I'm not stalling in any way while he opens it.
Yeah, so obviously, since I have it open, I can see that we have one email, only one email in the past week, which is a little bit surprising to me, but maybe not, because I feel like we only get emails in response to, people give us the effort that we give. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Here we go. This email was received just a few days ago on March 13th.
Of course, just a few days ago.
Yep, from Cephalopod Master. Subject line is, as always, I'm a dumbass. He says, hello, Alex and Alex at Joel the Podcast. I don't have a strong opinion on what the Sports Minute should be like. I think the main difference is that I'm less hostile to sports than I was previously when I asked the Sports Minute to be cut down. Mainly, I just wanted you to have fun talking about it because the podcast is most fun when you're having fun. It's very wholesome.
Aww.
Yeah. I think both Nathan's idea, pre-Sports Minute, and Alex's idea, sports longer than a minute, sound funny, so I guess try each of them and see what happens. Best, David. So first of all, thanks, David, for reminding us what our ideas were. I know it was only a week ago that we were talking about this.
By the way, I can't, but you won't, I mean, actually, you will believe because you, listener, you hear it every time it happens. I can't tell you how many times David has responded to something we said and we were just like, I have no, what are you talking about? Like, I do not know what we said. So thank you for including it.
Yeah.
Because, there's 0% chance we would have remembered. All right, go on.
Yeah. So that's, well, I would say that's the end of the email, but it says at the bottom, sent with Proton Mail secure email, and then the Proton Mail is, of course, a link which you would think would take you to, like, Proton Mail to sign up. But then clicking this link, I can see, let me show this to you because it's hilarious. Google is like, here's what the link is.
I figured as soon as you said there's a link to Proton Mail, I was like, okay, that's definitely a Rickroll.
So yeah, it's never gonna give you up, which I will fall for it. Let me click this link and silently Rickroll myself because my computer headphones are over there. Can I just say though that the music video for this song is excellent. I don't know how well you know it, right? But just the weird environment that he's just kind of shuffling back and forth.
I don't think that I've ever watched the full music video for that song.
Interesting. Well, if you'd like, there's a link to it in our email.
Okay, I'll not check it out.
Yeah, as we know, clicking on links is the easiest way to make things happen, and therefore, you should go to our website if you want to send us an email, because that thing's full of links to send us an email. So, Alex, do you want to tell the fine people out there where they can find our website?
Absolutely. I would love for you to pass the buck to me to say the really long website. I mean, really convenient website. It's Alex and Alex at joelthepodcast.github.io/Alex and Alex at joelthepodcast.website/index.html. So go check it out.
Yeah, incredible as always with all the practice that we frequently get. So
I would really love to know, okay, imagine somebody listened to this podcast for the first time. Like, they just popped in on a random episode like that one person who emailed us.
Uh-huh.
What is their thought when we say the website? Like, is their thought, that can't be real, that's obviously just a joke? Is their thought, oh, that's probably real? Do they go and visit it? Like, I'm curious what the reaction to that is.
Yeah, I don't know if this is just me, but if I were to hear something like that, even if I thought it was a joke, I would try to go there to see what happens, right? Very reminiscent of onealmond.com,
Yeah.
which I think might still be live.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
So yeah, it is, in fact, for the listeners out there.
Go check out onealmond.com. And if you want to know the context of it, send us an email.
Yeah, pretty good website. So it's got an RSS feed that you can subscribe to.
I doubt there's any activity on it.
There does not appear to be. Wow, published
okay,
Monday,
anyway, so
4th of February 2013. Anyway.
Let's talk about what David actually said in his email.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
So I guess I would say, first of all, thanks for the feedback. I'm glad you don't have a strong opinion, because it means we can't do anything wrong. And I'm also glad that you are less hostile to sports. I noticed that he didn't say that he liked sports, just less hostile.
Yeah.
So I'm glad about that. And now, so the two options we talked about were pre-sportsman. Okay, so do you remember? I know it's so helpful that he provided them to us,
right.
But I still actually do not remember what those are. Do you remember what they were?
Okay, so I think the pre-sports minute is talking about which topics we should bring up in the sports minute to kind of like give us, because usually in the sports minute we're just like trying to come up with ideas, right? And I don't know that we really talk about them. We just list things. So
right,
that concept kind of becomes the pre-sports minute. And then what we would do is reset the timer and actually have like a sensible conversation. That would be my kind of proposal for how that would work.
I think I'm generally against having sensible conversations on this podcast.
Interesting. Maybe we just do the pre-sports minute where we talk about... do we just talk about... It doesn't feel like a pre-sports minute if we talk about sports and then do a sports minute. You know what I mean? We can't just do two sports minutes.
So...
Because we did that in a different episode. We just had a second sports minute. I do remember this.
Well, so the second option is sports longer than a minute.
Yes.
So he said either would be fine.
I think sports longer than a minute just allows us to develop the ideas that we come up with, because we're not like up against the clock trying to get out a handful of different things.
Right. I feel like the problem with the sports minute is I say the Eagles won the Super Bowl, but then like I'm not sure how much to elaborate or talk about it because I don't want to, because there's other sports things that need to be brought up.
Right.
So but then I start trying to think of other sports things, and it's like I can't think of anything. So then so I feel like the sports longer than a minute might be better.
Yeah. Because
it's just like maybe we set the limit at 5 minutes, but obviously, you know, if we finish before 5 minutes, we could just stop. We don't have to fill 5 minutes.
Sure.
Because that's been another sorry, I know I just keep talking. That's been another problem with the sports minute is that sometimes we're like, how do we fill up a minute? Like, nothing has happened or nothing interesting to us has happened.
Yeah, well, I guess sometimes that could be true, but I feel like a lot of the time, right, where we could be talking about sports for a minute easily if we just like focused on a thing, right, and didn't try and provide like updates across the world of sport. Maybe that's.
Let me ask you this. This is like a little bit meta, but so like the Sports Minute started because you and I enjoyed talking about sports.
Yeah.
And we did so on the podcast, and then, you know, David wasn't interested in hearing about sports, so he was like, cut it down.
Yeah.
And then it kind of became this like, let's provide an update. Like, we'll talk about sports beforehand because we like talking about sports, and then in the Sports Minute we can kind of give a summary for David, who doesn't follow sports, or at least didn't at the time.
Yeah.
So that he kind of, you know, for the little interest he has, knows what's going on. Now, the thing that's shifted, I feel like, is that we don't really talk about sports offline anymore. Very much at all.
And I think the problem is it used to be that we could talk about a season as it progressed, and that's just not the way it happens anymore.
Right. So I guess I would say if we are interested in talking about sports more than we currently do, just like in general, then we should do either go back to the previous thing where we were talking about sports beforehand, and then it's kind of summarizing, or we should just shift to the sports amorphous amount of time instead of a specific minute, so that we can actually talk about sports in an interesting way.
Yeah.
That would be my suggestion. The alternate, if we're not interested in talking about sports more, then we should just remove the sports minute, in my opinion, because it's not that interesting anymore. And like David said, the interesting part of this podcast is when we're having fun. So if we're not having fun talking about sports, there's no need to do it, I guess, is my thought.
It's interesting that you say that, because I was thinking that, like, personally, I'm not that interested in the discussion that happens during the sports minute, but I do think that it's a pretty good bit.
What do you mean by that? Do you think it's funny or interesting to listen to?
Well, I kind of think that it's a parody of other either podcasts or other kind of like radio or news or whatever, where people would discuss, sports, like have a sports segment of the news or whatever. It's kind of like we do that just so haphazardly and convey barely any information because it's contained to 1 minute. That's just kind of funny to me on, again, I think kind of a meta level, not necessarily that the content itself is funny, but that the concept is funny. So maybe what this is one of those jokes that we've talked about where it's funny to think about but not actually that funny to do, except this one's just been so ingrained for so long that we've neglected to consider whether we should truly do it or whether we should just appreciate it for the bit and let it go.
I know that this is a tangent on a tangent, but we should really come up with a name for those. I mean, we so often talk about the jokes that are funny to say but not to do.
Yeah.
We should come up with a name for those type of jokes. Like, that's I don't know, what's a good name?
That's a real Joel
I know you're going to say
joke.
Joel joke, but... which is like a good name. Yeah, we should just... Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was like initially like, let's come up with a better name than Joel joke, but no, that is a great name. So
yeah, how can we possibly top that?
Okay, anyway, let us know your thoughts, listeners, on the Sports Minute and everything we talked about. I think we should move on because... Yeah, I think we should move on, but...
it's kind of hilarious.
It was an interesting discussion.
We responded to an email talking to us about the Sports Minute, providing us with some actual like feedback and ideas, and then we just had a discussion disregarding all of it, and we're like, maybe we just won't do the Sports Minute anymore. So, all right, cool.
The feedback really made us sit down and consider the Sports Minute. Well, the sad part is he said he likes the Sports Minute, right?
Yeah. Well, he says, I don't have a strong opinion on what it should be like. I am less hostile to sports. He just wants us to have fun. He said both ideas sound funny, so I guess try each of them and see what happens. But,
We'll sleep on it. We'll come back next week, and we'll see what we feel like. Yeah. And also, if you want to weigh in, David or anyone else, feel free.
We'll have a truly experimental Sports Minute next time. Just try some things out, see what happens, and maybe we'll.
That'll be monumental.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into the actual content now that we're 23 minutes into the episode. Let's get into the actual content of what we want to talk about, which is we have a tier list today.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Done a tier list before, but that one was about something else. I don't remember anymore. And this one is about...
Well, we had a holiday... We had a holiday gift guide tier list. Okay, sorry, I didn't know you were going to do a lead-in. This one is about podcast ideas.
This one's about podcast ideas. Where's our... Oh, I'm looking at our episode catalog. Are you sure the gift guide was a tier list? I thought we had another tier list. Maybe we've done 2 tier lists.
Yeah, I really think the holiday gift guide was a tier list. But anyway, doesn't matter.
Whatever.
So for those of you who don't know, which I guess, why would anyone know this? Every time we get on to do a podcast, the episode's just called Good Guess, Bad Audio, Good Guess, so maybe it's not. Anyway, Every time we get into do a podcast, we know what should we podcast about, and then we spend.
It's definitely not, because we were talking about what gift would you give to like this type of person. So it wasn't really tiers. It was like.
Okay, so it was like a guide.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, anyway, so we always spend an embarrassing amount of time trying to figure out what we want to podcast about, and so we thought we would do a tier list of some of the ideas we've had. And so you guys can, and some of these ideas are things that we literally have done and do and currently, are currently part of our rotation. And some of these are ideas we've had and haven't done. And so we're going to be kind of ranking all of these and talking about them. And we have a lot of ideas on this list, so we're going to go somewhat quickly. So, all right, why don't we start with, any commentary on the episode before we do it?
Well, here at the top, you're gonna hear a lot of ideas today as you're listening. If any of these stand out to you, regardless of where we rank them, let us know. We're always looking for what the listeners want to hear, and that's all I have to say. I think. Let's begin. Let's
start with a classic podcast idea. We've been doing this idea for years now, and really never gets old. And that is Joel the Game. I'm sure everyone listening knows what I'm talking about with Joel the Game. It's just so entertaining. We've really honed the mini games to the most entertaining subset we can find. What's your favorite mini game that we do in Joel the Game?
My favorite mini game is probably Wikipedia Hunt. I feel like that's always kind of like hectic and interesting. I do have to say one of my favorites that we've retired because it didn't make a great podcast game was the one where we had to like run and find something. I thought that one was pretty good. It was a little tricky for the format, but kind of had a soft spot for that one for me. What are your thoughts on the mini games?
I kind of want to pull it up so I can remember them all. Let's see. Oh, okay. So I have one of the things on here is Ghost. Do we do that anymore? We don't do that anymore, right? We don't do that anymore.
Yeah,
anyway,
do that.
I found out that Ghost is like a solved game. Yeah, pretty interesting. So anyway, I really like the newest one, which is the movie True or False one. I think that's pretty fun.
That's pretty good one.
Probably not never, but at very least it's been a long time since I've listened to an episode of Joel the Game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wonder how entertaining the Wikipedia Hunt is to listen to.
Yeah. Probably it's not that good to listen to. Maybe it's high energy.
The experience is. Yeah. Yeah, I'd be interested. Probably. Yeah, you're probably right. Wonder if we. Yeah. Now that I was gonna say maybe we should consider replacing it, but you just said it's your favorite one, so then it's like.
Yeah, this podcast.
Can we really do that?
It turns out this podcast isn't for the listeners; it's for me. So we're gonna keep Wikipedia Hunt.
Good point. Who has the highest card? That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid game that, again, we have... You know what the best part of Joel the Game is, actually, though? It's not any of the mini games. It's the modifiers. And I know we said we were
modifiers are pretty good.
We were going to spend a lot of time on any of these, but Joel the Game, come on, that's iconic. I feel like...
And another great thing about Joel the Game is that I always win it. And... like, unironically, too, like, it's not a joke, it's not a bit. Yeah. I mean, it is a bit because it keeps happening, but, like, it's not staged. Like, I literally win Joel the Game every time. It's pretty cool.
I don't know. Unfortunate, maybe, is a more apt description there. But, to each their own, and I'm sure the listeners enjoy having an underdog to root for every episode,
Yep. So, for all these reasons, Joel the Game, S tier.
Yeah, easy S tier. I don't think there's anybody that can argue with that.
Hit us with the next one.
Cool. Next up, I don't think this is something we've sort of done if you think back to some of the early episodes, but next up is commentating a sports event. Now this could be like a regular traditional sporting event, football game, baseball game, whatever. It could be non-traditional, the Stockmaster games, for instance. It could be that, that one thing where they roll cheese down a hill and everybody chases the cheese. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I actually do not know what you're talking about.
Really? I feel like that's something we've talked about on the podcast before. I think it's a British thing where there's like some county where they all like...
It does sound vaguely familiar now that you bring it up.
Yeah, and they take a big wheel of cheese and they just like roll it down the hill. Everybody chases after it. And whoever makes it down the hill fastest gets the cheese. But it's like a really steep and uneven hill, so there's like tons of injuries, every year. It's a huge train wreck, is what I'm saying.
I assume the cheese makes it down first, right?
Oh, of course, yeah. They just send the cheese, and then everybody follows behind.
I love how in the competition has nothing to do with the cheese inherently. They just roll the cheese down and then you win the cheese. Like that's but they could just run the competition where they all try to get down to the bottom of the hill and the cheese isn't even involved.
Sure. It'd be like if they played every baseball game for like a cake. Just the winning team gets a cake at the end, which they should be like do, actually.
It would be like if they played a baseball game for a cake, but also the cake was just like on the field. For some reason,
just part of the objective somehow. Like it was in right.
No, not
field
part of the objective.
Not like trample the cake as you played.
Well, the funny part is that it's not like it. Like the cheese thing, the cheese doesn't have anything to do with the competition. So it's like the cake is just on the field.
Yeah,
has nothing to do with the game. It's just there, and then you win the cake. Anyway, I think that I think like. Commentating a sports event has some potential. Like I don't think we should do a normal sporting event. But like anything that's short we could do. Like anything where it's like curling. We could commentate curling.
Actually,
that's like a short what?
I don't know that curling's the best example. That might be terrible. But surely there's something out there.
Yeah,
right?
Okay, that's true. Surely there's something where we can describe the action in an interesting way.
And he's brushing. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of Olympic
that's
sports.
That's a Joel joke. Yeah. So anyway, that's an idea. So this has potential. Yeah. There's a lot of pitfalls. Obviously, some that we would be terrible at.
Yeah. I'd feel comfortable giving this. I'd feel comfortable giving this a B. I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Could be good if we did it right, but might not be.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the next idea. And that idea is religion/politics. Now, anyone who has listened to this show for an extended period of time knows that we avoid these topics like the plague.
Yeah.
Specifically politics. I guess we've never really mentioned that we avoid religion, but they often get lumped together, so we lump them together here. So we are putting this in the Z tier category. Z for zero chance, I've decided.
I was going to say Z for zebra, but that's much better.
I don't know.
Zebra as in it's black and white. We are never talking about this. That's a terrible line. All right.
Okay, we got to move on. Let's go.
Okay, yeah, I think that's pretty clear. Let's talk about something maybe a little bit more positive and more actually realistic for this show, which is, of course, advice. This is one of the classics. This is the classic of all classics, actually.
The original.
Yeah, this is where it all started. I would say the best part about the advice is just the good feeling I get knowing that our listeners are receiving top quality suggestions from us. pretty much on a regular basis to improve their lives. What do you got to say about advice?
I guess the first thing I have to say is that right now your mouth is entirely obscured by your microphone. It's actually a kind of funny view. Anyway, so I like advice. I like the challenge that we get from advice.
Yeah.
Like, we get to curate the questions we get, obviously. So
sure, we get so many
pick
questions that we could never answer them all. So
right.
You're really hearing the.
So we pick the good ones,
right.
but because we do that, I like that we get to like flex our problem solving muscles a little bit.
Right.
On some maybe less traditional things that people may be experiencing. So
yeah,
that's I think advice is a great podcast, and I'm comfortable putting it in A tier.
A for advice. I like it.
Yep, and for anything else that goes in A tier, we have to call it advice tier now.
A for advice tier. Yep. Cool. Is it? No, I said that. So you're up. You're up for the next one.
Yep. So the next podcast idea is talking about stocks.
Right.
This is an idea for sure. One of them.
We need to
other podcasts.
Go
ahead.
We need to disclose at the top of this that this is not financial advice, and we are not stock people.
I would say we would need to disclose that if we were going to talk about stocks.
Right.
But right now we're talking about stocks, which is much more interesting.
And this is absolutely podcast advice because we are podcasters. So,
let me ask you something. How much do you know about stocks?
I know a lot about stocks, actually. I own many stocks. I look at them often. They have... I think when I put my mouth over my microphone after you made that comment, I got a hair from the... All right. Yeah, so I'm a very serious stock knower. There's lots I could say if I were a financial advisor about choosing stocks for yourself. And you know what? Here's a free one. I like stocks that start with the letter F because they're, I think, undervalued typically, actually, just because of the F-ness of them. Their ethnicity, if you will.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well, that's interesting. I actually didn't know you knew so much about stocks. I was kind of thinking that neither of us knew anything about stocks.
Oh.
So the podcast would be pretty bad.
Well, maybe we should do an episode about me teaching you about stocks and in proxy teaching the listeners about stocks. So, but that's not what we're talking about.
Okay, so we're gonna go off script here. So first, because you know so much about stocks, what would you rank? Like, what tier do you put talking about stocks in?
Okay.
As a podcast.
Okay. So here's the thing. And I know we were getting excited, but I think it's just because it's a conversation between us. As a podcast, talking about stocks is kind of terrible. And I'll tell you why. First of all, it's talking about math and business, and both of those topics suck. Nobody likes them. Second of all, it's very time-dependent advice. Like if I'm out here saying, like, you got to buy the F stocks, right? And then everybody goes out and takes my advice. In a month, you better be selling your F stocks. Exactly. Yeah. You better be getting rid of those pieces of garbage because they're way overvalued. Everybody's pumping them. You got to start dumping. So it's not good for podcast form because it's just not re-listenable, right? That's my favorite part about a podcast is how timeless and re-listenable that they always are. There's never any podcasts that are featuring like current events or anything because it just ruins the format. So that's my take. I know that's pretty negative actually.
Did you give a tier?
Did
you give a tier?
If I were to give a tier, I would probably put talking about stocks in the D tier.
All right, now in a potentially much shorter answer, what would you rank you teaching me about stocks as a podcast?
Me teaching you about stocks is probably pretty solid B tier, maybe even low A tier material. just because I think basically anything we do can make it up there. But in this particular case, it could be timeless advice for the listeners and for us, in fact, to come back to as we're sculpting our portfolios in the form of a beautiful, balanced profit machine, extracting wealth from the economy.
All right. We are now 40 minutes into the podcast.
Yikes.
So let's go slightly faster. Why don't you hit us with the next idea?
Okay, I think this will be a quick one. I don't think there's going to be a lot for us to say about this. This was an idea submitted to us a little while back for us to do a pilot episode to see if we might want to transition. This is a 3-hour podcast, 3-hour episodes of World War I trivia. So hit me with your gut feeling here.
Well, A, I don't know any World War I trivia,
Yeah.
so that part would be really bad.
Yeah.
B, it's 3 hours, so that's really bad. I think the only redeeming quality, if you can call it that, of this idea is that it is trivia, which, we do kind of like trivia or kind of that kind of thing every now and then on our podcast. But yeah, kind of overall, I think it would be horrible. So I'm putting this in F tier.
Yeah, as much as I want to say that World War I is kind of underrated when it comes to world wars, I really can't get this out of the F tier on that alone. So fair enough. F's in chat, I guess. What's up next?
Okay, let's go to the another classic podcast idea that we currently do, which is short stories. This is an idea that evolved from movie ideas, which we will talk about later in this list, so I won't get too much into that. But short stories, I think, is a great podcast idea. What's your thought?
Yeah, for sure. I think that really highlights everything that we do really well here on Joel the Podcast. The quick ideas, the kind of building and constructing kind of fun jokes and concepts and things. It's really good for us to be able to do a deep dive into something for 10 or 20 minutes, because that's what we seem to be doing with these ideas, and we really meant to be going faster here. So yeah, just fits all of our strengths.
Yeah, so the tier is?
I'd give this an A. A for advice.
Yeah, that's an advice tier. That's an advice tier idea.
Yeah.
Hit us with the next one.
Yeah, the next one. How did this get on here? I didn't realize it was on here when I was talking about the sporting event earlier.
I thought you were talking about it earlier. I was like, well.
Well, it's the Stockmaster Games, and I don't think the Stockmaster Games is a great sporting event to commentate either, because nobody really knows what's going on. I don't know if that's got good.
I think it ended up on the list just because I thought it would be fun to just mention it. I remember way back when we did the Stockmaster Games.
Yeah. Well, this is a case of some of our early ideas were right at the top, and some of our early ideas really probably belong in the D tier. What do you think?
Yeah, I think D tier is appropriate, and I want to share. We have a spreadsheet where we write down what each episode is called and what we did during it. And in episode 5, Nathan wrote this description for what we did. All our early episodes are nonsense. This was just random stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway,
cover art.
I think that really epitomizes that description. Really epitomizes what we're talking about here with the Stockmaster Games. Although that was maybe a little bit more focused than some of the other ones.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably right there.
Okay.
Up next,
let's go to our next idea, which is interviews. So I guess what I mean by interview is when we have guests on the podcast. We've had a number of guests, maybe 4. How many different guests do you think we've had? 5?
If you're talking unique guests, I think we've had at least 5 or 6, actually.
Yeah, so, yeah, I think that number. So Our episodes with guests vary wildly, I would say. There's a lot of variance.
Yeah.
We've had really great episodes with guests and also really bad episodes with guests. I don't really want to say which guests are which. And in fact, I feel like some guests fall into both categories since they've been on multiple episodes.
Yeah, it really depends on the time. But I am glad, though, that you're throwing the quality of the episode onto the guest, because we obviously always bring our top game.
Right. I mean, we know the quality of the episode when it's just us. So if it's bad when we have a guest, it's no doubt because of the guest.
Can't be our fault. So,
yeah. Anyway, because it is a unique thing, so I like that it's like a little bit of variety, and you get to hear someone that you don't normally hear. So I think we should put this in B tier. Any thoughts on that?
That feels pretty fair, because like you could argue that if we always had like a home run guest, this could creep up into like A tier. I mean, honestly, maybe even S tier if you wanted to be so bold, just because it's such a fun time to have others on. But like, yeah, there's some pretty questionable ones in the catalog, clearly on the guest's fault. So. Can't really put it up there. B seems pretty fair to me. Up next, here's one that we've never done, but on the other hand, maybe we do it all the time, and that's deep philosophical debates. Now, how do you feel, not podcast wise, but just generally about deep philosophical debates?
I love philosophical debates. My brother is like really into philosophy, or at least was in the past.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy. Actually, you know what I really enjoy is just arguing. So deep philosophical debates are great for arguing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're arguing, but you're
they're
feeling
always
really intellectual about it at the same time, which is extra points.
Like, one of my favorite things... No, okay, this is not one of my favorite things, but one thing that I enjoy is... It's okay, so you talk to someone about the trolley problem, which if you're not familiar, look it up. It's very famous. And most people say that they would hit the lever and, like, switch the track, right?
Yep.
Then... and like The Good Place explored this briefly, ask them about, there's like a variation of that problem where you have 5 sick people and 1 healthy person, and you can kill the healthy person and give their organs to the sick people.
Yeah.
And most people say that they wouldn't kill the healthy person in that scenario.
Yeah.
Rightly so. I agree. But then the question is, what is the difference between that scenario and the trolley problem? Like, why do you choose to save the 5 people in one scenario, whereas let them die in the other scenario? It's very... I really just love picking holes in people's arguments.
Yeah, I think that's the best part about philosophical arguments, is that for something to like properly be a philosophical argument, you kind of have to have like the ability to debate both sides. Otherwise, it's not particularly interesting philosophy. And so, yeah, finding those holes to pick, that's some good stuff. Okay, so all that being said, I think we're both of the opinion that debating philosophical is good and interesting, but like, do you like listening to other people do it?
It has some interest to me. I frankly think it would not do very well as a podcast for us. And the reason is that, our strengths in podcasting are being like funny and quick and witty, and, deep philosophical debates really don't lend themselves to that.
Yeah.
So this is like it's something that could be interesting in theory in certain contexts, but for our podcast, I would say, I don't know, C tier or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. Maybe one of the biggest critiques I can come up with it is one of the things that we struggle with sometime in the games is that properly debating is going to require either preparation or like pausing to think, and preparation is just not something that we're capable of doing or I should say, not something that we're willing to do for this podcast. And pausing is something that just kind of like kills the flow of the podcast when you can't like, just like kind of riff to fill space, right? When the other person's trying to like rebut your, philosophical point. I feel like that's not really what you come to a philosophical podcast for. So yeah, not for us. Probably C tier is fair.
Okay, next one is Quora. So this is an idea we've done before where we just go on Quora and read the questions and talk about them. Excuse me. Now, this has some merit because Quora is kind of quirky and it has some weird questions, and that part in and of itself can be funny. But they're generally not great questions for discussing on a podcast. Like, a lot of them are, like, just knowledge questions, which, you just say the answer and then that's it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of shmeh on this. What's your thought on Quora?
Yeah, Quora gives me the same sort of vibes as maybe debates, where it's like, it's kind of interesting if you're gonna ponder it, but, like, as for podcast content, I feel like it's not really up there with some of the heavy hitters. It feels like it fits pretty nicely into that C category for me also.
Yeah, I don't think I said C, but I'm glad we agree. All right, let's move on to the next one.
I meant also as in with philosophy, but cool.
Okay, got it. Thought you were agreeing with.
Yes,
like,
you did
you thought
say
I said
C,
and you were
and
agreeing
that's
with
what
me.
I think it should be.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Hit us with the next one.
Next one up is actually Joel the Game Show. So if you remember just a couple of episodes ago, we kind of
a couple weeks ago.
Yes, just a short few weeks ago. Everybody must remember Joel the Game Show. We designed and then debuted in back-to-back episodes. I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty fun to play. I think we had a good time. It's an interesting format. I think it definitely has room to grow. Yeah.
Similar to Joel the Game when we first started doing it, we're not like there's definitely improvements to be made still.
It's early in the life cycle for sure.
I don't know that I'm ready to put it up in like S or A tier yet. But B tier for sure, I would say, with a lot of potential to go up as we kind of develop it.
Yeah, I could see even just another episode or two being enough to push that up into A tier, and then if we get the long term kind of sustainability that we've had with Joel the Game, I see tons of potential there for sure.
And let me just hop in here and say to our listeners, I don't know that we've gotten any feedback on this yet that I can remember.
I don't think so.
So please let us know what you thought of Joel the Game Show, and whether you want to hear more of it. And one interesting thing, if people seem to like it, will be how often do we do it. Like with Joel the Game, we kind of found like, we'll do this every 5 episodes. That's kind of often enough. So, but this is kind of similar. So the question will be like, do we do each of them every 5? Every 5, do we alternate between them? So anyway, let us know your thoughts on kind of Joel the Game Show and what you want to hear related to that.
Yeah. What do we got up next?
Next up, we have talking about the New England Patriots 2007 season. Now, if that sounds familiar, that's probably because we did this as a podcast. And I would say this is probably our low point as a podcast. This was just awful.
Yeah, we were really still searching for direction here, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm like disposed to enjoy listening to us because it's me. But really, I just can't listen to this one. It's just bad.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you've never listened to this episode, don't listen to it. Is my advice.
Yeah. Cool.
Any commentary on this one?
I guess my only comment is that I don't think F is sufficient.
I don't even think Z is sufficient. Like we put the religion, politics, and Z. This is. We are okay. This topic is banished.
Yeah.
Banished to the shadow realm.
Oof.
That is the tier.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. And correct.
Okay. Yep. All right. What's next?
Yeah, we're about halfway through our list here as we approach the hour mark. So feeling good.
Stick around for the next hour.
a couple rapid fire ideas here. I think we can crank out a few real quick. Guessing the results of upcoming foreign elections. I think this would be... This is a real Joel joke to me, you know what I mean?
Classic Joel joke.
And
yeah,
as such, I feel like C is the appropriate tier where it's got the brand recognition, but the actual execution is bound to be trash.
Yeah, it might be like kind of funny for a little bit to hear about us not knowing anything, but eventually it would just run out of steam pretty quickly. So C makes sense.
Imagine the 127th episode of our foreign elections discussions.
Or even our second episode of foreign elections discussions.
Yeah, absolutely fair. What's up next?
All right. Next item is I lost where we're on the list. Oh, movie ideas. So this was referenced a little bit earlier. This is something we started doing early on, and I think it was decent.
Yeah.
But the problem is that it was just so long. Like, that's why we switched to short stories. Movie ideas have a lot of content that are not. Short stories is like, let's just distill movie ideas to all the interesting parts.
Right.
So it included a lot of like stuff that wasn't that interesting, like let's talk about what this scene would be and what this scene would be. And
yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Like, I had a ton of fun doing our movie episodes, but really distilled, I think, is absolutely the correct word for what we turned that into with the, what did we say, A-tier short stories. So yeah, this obviously can't be up there in A. I don't even know if it's fair to put it in B. So maybe we drop this down to C tier for the, birthing better ideas, but itself not being quite up to snuff.
yeah, it seems fair.
Sure.
C tier. What's next?
All right, here's one that I think both of us have been talking excitedly about in the past couple of weeks, and we're especially curious for listener feedback here, and that would be writing a rap. So I don't think our listeners know that both of us have extensive musical backgrounds. I don't know if that's ever come up on the episodes, but I think our main focus over that time has absolutely been building us toward a rap career in podcast form. And so, I think
that if you listen to like our theme songs, which, are really kind of a good example of our musical abilities, you just can't help but be like, these guys should write a rap.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what I think. That the impression you get from those. Now, I would say I've never written a rap before. Have you?
Oh, for sure. No, I've never written a rap.
Yeah, so I'm skeptical on that front of like, really our first time writing a rap is going to be live on a podcast. Like that might be a little rocky.
Yeah. It might be a little rocky, but maybe we could
drink some sake.
Oh. Now you're talking. Okay,
I don't like sake though.
I've never had it. So maybe B tier with the same kind of upside.
Yeah, I think the upside could be that it'd be really either interesting or funny because it would be bad. But also it might just be bad without being funny. So
yeah, higher than usual.
Yeah, B tier
chance,
makes sense.
Of the rest of these ideas that it would just completely crash and burn. So I don't know. B tier's optimistic, but let's leave it there. Next up, let's talk live reacting to a TV show. And when we say live reacting, obviously what we mean is we just like pick a TV show to watch, and then we commentate on it, and then later we put out a podcast of like, we're not going to be like as it airs, live streaming or maybe we would.
Right.
I don't know, maybe that'd be a better idea, but like, I don't know. Something about this idea just feels kind of off to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say the biggest problem is that the medium we're commenting on wouldn't be included in the thing. Like, when you see like YouTube videos where they're reacting to stuff, they're like in the corner,
right,
and then you have the main thing that they're reacting to in front of you. For a podcast, reacting to a TV show wouldn't really just really would not make any sense. I think this is just F tier.
Yeah, I think that's where we got to put it.
All right, next up we have Ask Reddit. So you may recall that we used to do this as a podcast. We would go on Ask Reddit and read some of the questions and discuss our answers. And this kind of goes back to Quora, which we gave to be C tier. And I think this is really just strictly worse than Quora, since the questions on Ask Reddit were just not as interesting to discuss. Like, at least the Quora ones were like, sometimes this is kind of funny, like, or a silly question. But Ask Reddit was all just like...
exactly like that, yeah.
Normal questions, yeah. Normal questions that weren't interesting to talk about. So I don't think it was that good.
Yeah, this may be slightly controversial, but Reddit is kind of terrible, so...
D tier.
D tier. D for dead it, am I right?
Yeah.
All right, next up, trying on sunglasses. This seems like it'd be pretty...
This would be fun.
Pretty fun, yeah. Like, we could... I mean, obviously we both wear glasses, right? So we'd have to, like, get... Well, suppose you could get the ones that clip on to your glasses, but I personally use prescription sunglasses as a separate pair of glasses. I don't know.
I do as well.
So...
Yeah, well, for most of my life, I had transition lenses, so my normal glasses turned into sunglasses.
Yeah.
And that is, I would say, not the best style.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my friends in middle school used to say I looked like a rapist when my lenses transitioned. So
wow.
I thought about that and I was like, should I say that on the podcast? And I was like, yeah, I'm definitely saying that on the podcast.
Wow.
Anyway, so it would be fun. That's one of the reasons I have normal, like, separate prescription sunglasses now.
Yeah.
However, as we talk about this, I don't think it would be a good podcast thing since no one would be able to see the sunglasses.
Yeah, and if there's one skill that I've found through experience, I just really do not possess. It's the ability to describe a pair of glasses. Like, if I were to try and describe the glasses you're wearing right now, they're like glass, and there's some little sticks that go back over your ears, and then there's like, it's not brown exactly, but it's kind of like tan maybe?
No, that's my hair.
Oh, okay.
That's my
Sorry,
hair.
I was getting confused.
Not part of the glasses. Yeah. No problem. Yeah, I would say that was... Yeah, I would say that's a pretty bad description. I think we can throw this in the F tier.
Yeah, probably for the best.
Yeah, all right. Bad job on rapid firing that one. Let's go to our next idea, which is diagnosing medical conditions of our listeners.
Yeah.
This is like a variation on advice, except much better, I would say. And the reason is, A, that we're medical professionals.
Right.
So we would provide, like, because we're narrowing down the advice field, like, this is even better to something that we're good at, I mean. Mm-hmm. And also just because, like, everyone loves a gross medical story. So that would be kind of fun to read on air.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think this is something that we've actually done in the past, but we should definitely consider it, because I think you're correct that this is just like the best possible form of advice, which is like giving advice that is strictly speaking like professional life improvement diagnosis. You know what I mean? Like it's all.
Yep.
All
so I think we gotta bump this up from the advice tier to the S tier.
Yeah.
So yeah, S tier for this one.
Yeah, our second entry into the S tier, joining Joel the Game. So congratulations to diagnosing medical conditions of our listeners. You're in good company. Next one up.
Next one
up. Reviewing all of the blankets that we own. Now, I think this is a pretty good idea, and I know what you're saying. That this is also a very, very like trying on sunglasses kind of thing, in which it would be helpful to the listeners to be able to see the blankets to kind of understand what you're talking about. But I feel like I am much better at describing a blanket than I am at describing sunglasses. How about you?
Do you have any blankets in that room that you're in?
I thought I did. I don't know where it went. I used to have one in here. I can describe it to you from memory, though.
Yeah, describe it.
Yeah, without even needing. So here's picture this. We're talking about a rectangle of medium weight fleece. The color is black. The design is an M&M. Like one of those guys from the commercials that has arms and legs and a face, but it's an M&M. And it says
just one M&M,
just one single
covering the whole blanket,
giant M&M, and it says on it M&M.
It says that on the M&M or separately on the blanket.
I think it's separately on the blanket, but don't quote me on that because it's in the other room.
All right. Well, I felt like we don't need to go into too far, but that was an excellent description. Yeah. I feel like I could walk into my living room and see that blanket.
Yeah. Just picture that draped on your body right now. That's all you need to know.
So warm. I think that this is an A tier format. I think that, reviewing all the blankets we own. Because, after you described that blanket, I wanted to hear your review of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, we don't have time. We have to move on. So, I think that's a great idea. Yeah, I give it an A tier.
I put in just enough tantalizing detail, and I think that's what we could really bring to the genre.
Yeah. Okay, next idea is an idea that we currently do, which is top 10. We often create top 10 lists in different categories. We have some running jokes like the entire Earth or our podcast being on lists. I think this is a pretty good format. I think it's entertaining. No one has gotten tired of it yet, as far as I know.
Yeah.
What's your thought on top 10?
One really underrated aspect of the top 10 is that it is strictly limited to 10 items, which I think really helps keep the length of the podcast under control.
I think I get where you're going at, but the funny part is that it's not limited to 10 items because we have 2 honorable mentions in every single one.
Yeah, no, that's very true. But no, I think top 10 is a great category because it kind of ties together a lot of the good aspects of a lot of our other ideas into like a very structured, formulaic thing that's easy for us to make, but also really easy to, or not, everything's easy to listen to. Everything's probably of equal difficulty to listen to. That's probably not true. The point is that top 10 is probably like an A tier idea. Pretty much the best of everything we do, but like, I don't know that we've really hit the special one to tip it into S for me.
It's now my bedtime, so let's really finish these fairly quickly.
A for advice for top 10. Number 23, rating all...
Advice tier.
Rating all the videos of small YouTube channels. This is an excellent bit. This is a pretty mediocre podcast, I think.
This suffers from a lot of the same problems as live reacting to a TV show, except it'd be easier to go back and watch them, and I think it'd be more interesting. The commentary would be more interesting, but still suffers the same problem of being like you can't see what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So it'd be difficult. So I think C tier for this.
Yeah, C tier podcast, probably like a B tier reaction channel idea though. So if we ever wanted to branch out into different types of content.
Yeah. Next up. Oh, I thought you were going to read the next one. The next one is trying candy or foods. So yeah, pretty straightforward idea. You know, us trying different interesting candy or foods. We've had this idea with candy, but it could be obviously apply to any food, really. I think this has some pros and cons. Pros, it'd be interesting to hear about the different things. You could then go and try the things later that you were interested in.
Yeah.
Cons, again, it's kind of one of the many us describing an experience or thing to you that you can't see or experience, which is, you know, always going to be suboptimal in some way. What's your thought?
Yeah, I think this is something that I've always been pretty interested in doing, I think. And it's also something that, of that problem where it's like you can't experience it alongside of us, this is the easiest one of those to solve, where you just like go to the grocery store and buy some candy or something to enjoy along with us or whatever.
Oh yeah, if we do this one, we should start the episode out by saying,
here's what we're going to review.
Here's the list of things that we're going to try. Right. So pause if you want to try it with us, pause it and go buy the stuff.
Do the list. All right, now we will be silent for 45 minutes to allow you to go to the grocery store.
Good Joel joke. That's great.
All right, number 25. We got the Kids Bop quiz. I got to be honest with you. This is probably one of my favorite things we've ever done, and if we could do every episode as a Kids Bop quiz, I would love that. So, I don't know if you've got other comments to say, but easy S tier for me at least.
We've had some great moments in the Kids Bop quiz. It's fun to listen to, not only because we're hilarious, but also because you, the listener, can play along with us. Of like, oh, I wonder what this one is. I think the only like negative thing I have to say about the Kids Bop quiz is it's so hard. It's really hard. Like I couldn't believe how hard it was. So that part is a little frustrating, but other than that, I agree. Total S tier idea. Yeah. Next idea is taking a nap. This is an idea that was submitted to us today, and I'm not sure what the person who submitted it was thinking.
I have a little bit of insight there. I think she wanted to take a nap and not do the podcast. So I don't know that it was a very genuine proposal, but you know, the rules are the rules. We included it here.
The rules are we didn't tell anyone any rules, but the rules are the rules.
You can't.
And we got to include it here, and so I have no choice but to give it an F tier.
Yeah, F for funless, actually, is what that one is. And last, but certainly not least, because taking a nap was obviously the least. Podcast idea tier list?
D tier.
Yeah. Kind of a weird idea. Like, if you're going to do a podcast, just like do it, right? Don't.
If you're going to come up with a list of podcast ideas, just do the ideas. Like, why are you talking about them as a podcast idea?
Imagine being a podcaster, coming up with a bunch of ideas, and like, some of them are good, some of them are bad, sure. But like, just get rid of the bad ones. Who cares? They're bad, and you're a podcaster. Just do the good ideas.
Yeah, so that'd be pretty embarrassing to be in that situation as a podcaster. Yeah. So I will say, let's never do that.
No, for sure not. Let's get back. I think now that we've got this straightened out, we can return to our listeners with some real S tier, A tier content. Maybe even toss in some B tier stuff. And hey, if you heard an idea, it doesn't matter where we ranked it. Just send us an email, and we will do pretty much any of these ideas, honestly. Except take a nap.
Yep, that's the end of that's the end of our tier list, everyone. Thanks for listening. As Nathan said, let us know your thoughts. Where did you rank the different things? Where did you agree with us or not? And thanks for listening. As always, we will be back next time with another A tier or S tier episode of Joel the Podcast. But until then, I'm Alex.
I'm Alex.
And this has been Joel.